one of the primary reasons we don't make group decisions is because we don't have time to do that. And so it sometimes is not the best way to do it, but the quickest way that works. But other times, when you have the time, group decision making helps with your buy-in. It has many different reasons that it is helpful, as you can see on the screen. But it also is something you should do purposefully. And that's what Vroom Yetton talks about, is what's your purpose in making your decision? How should you do it? And while he uses, they use different categories for him, it's pretty common sense that there are 5 different types of decisions. You can make it yourself. You can get information from those that work with you or around you and make the decision yourself. In either one of those cases, it's a unilateral decision. You're making it. And those that are giving you the information understand that they're just giving you information so that you can make the decision. The C categories have some flavor of group decision making with them. In C1, you share your problem with others by themselves. You go and ask this person, you call up your friend, you text somebody, you have a discussion with people one-on-one and ask them to come into your office one at a time. And then you make a decision. In that case, you're wanting a lot of different pieces of input, and you don't want them to have that group think where they all go, oh yeah, I think so too. You want each person's individual viewpoint. In C2, you get the group together, discuss what's going on, and then you make the decision. The scary piece in that is if you get the group together, they also think that they have a hand in making the decision. There's nothing more disgusting to someone to go to a meeting thinking that they're going to be part of the decision-making process and at the end have the boss just say, oh, okay, this is what we're going to do. So if you choose that as your decision-making mode for it, people knowing going into the meeting that they are advising and not deciding is crucial for them to understand what their role is and to walk away satisfied with their role. And finally then, there's the kind of group decision making that we probably think of when we say those terms, and that is you get the group together, you discuss what's going on, and then together you get consensus, you make the decision together. The problem with that one is it takes a long time. So the questions are, what conditions should you use in making a group decision? What extent should you involve other people? How should you structure your committee? If you're going to have a group or a committee get together to decide something, who should be in, who should be out, what role should they take, and what's the role of the leader in that group? And that's why I bring to you the Hoyt-Harder model. It can look a little complex on the front end of it, but it is something that you can think about and actually tease apart roles of committee members rather than just looking for good people to be on the committee. It looks like this. Basically, there's 2 questions you ask yourself when you're thinking about, I want Jim to be on the committee, or should I ask her to sit on this committee? 2 things. First of all, do they have relevance? Do they care about the decision? Do they have a personal stake in what's going on? Does it matter to them? Secondly, do they have any expertise in the area? Do they know what this decision, can they make an informed decision? Do they have any experience in it? Do they have any a type of a job that would lend themselves to giving information in this decision? So let's practice this with a hypothetical. Imagine for a moment that you are the head of a large high school and that it is time for us as a high school to buy new band uniforms, which is going to be an outlay of a lot of money. It also is going to be something that's going to be a visible symbol of your school for the next decade. So you don't want to do something real outlandish that's going to give your yourself a strange look in the community. You don't want to buy something cheap that you're going to have to keep buying over and over, but you're going to also want to buy something that the band members want to wear. So there's a lot of pieces to a decision that's like that. So let's first of all decide who's the type 1. Now type 1 are yes in both categories. Type 1, yes, have a personal stake. It matters to them. But they also have some experience or some expertise in that area. And when I think about that, the first person I think about knowing something about that is the director of the band itself, and if there's a department head or a music supervisor or someone like that in the school, those people have probably lived and breathed bands and see all the other bands, and they have the expertise of what works and what doesn't work, and they also care about what, it's also their signature that you're creating with these uniforms. So absolutely they fit in type 1 as they care and they know. Now type 2 are those that are to the right hand side. They care, but they don't have any expertise. And that's like the kids in the band. They care what they're going to wear, but they don't know quality of cloth or ease of movement or different vendors or any of those types of things. And parents and alumni also probably would fit into that category. They're going to care. They want to be a part of the decision, but they don't know about it, so it limits their helpfulness in making the decision, and it should limit their role in the decision as well. Type 3 are in the top right. That is, I think I said that wrong on the last slide. The top right is the experts, the ones who actually know something about it, but they don't have a personal stake. They don't care whether the hat trim is blue or red. They don't care whether you put a stripe down the side or don't put a stripe down the side. They don't have to wear the uniform. They don't have to watch it for the next 10 years. So perhaps that might be some of the budget people out of the central office or the music people out of the central office. It might be someone like a consultant that you hire that works and comes in just to explain what these things are and to teach the group what the factors are. It might even be the representative from the uniform companies. Now, obviously, you say, wait a minute, they have a stake in this. They have a stake in you buying their product, but they don't have a stake in what's happening. They're going to leave you and go, and you're going to go your way, and they're going to go theirs. So that they are not a stakeholder. They care, but they don't care for the same reason that the rest of these people are caring. Finally, there's a lot of people in this world that fit in category 4. They don't care which band uniform you buy, and they don't know anything about band uniforms. So that's everybody, right? That's all the other teachers, that's all the people that live in your community, that's the football coach, now, does that mean that we don't pay any attention to those people? Absolutely not. These are the people that are going to watch and pay attention to what those other 3 groups are saying and may jump onto a cause and get all excited about it and think, oh, we're not spending the taxpayers' money wisely, or we aren't listening to the students' views about what's going on. This group, because they are uninformed, does not mean that they don't care about your school. But they need to be communicated with. They need to know what's going on, what process you used needs to be transparent. How you came to the decision that you came should be communicated with them, and what the advantages are in the decision that you finally make should also be trumpeted so that they buy that what was done well, and what was done in a caring manner, and that while we can't please everybody in any situation, we did take things into consideration, trying to keep conflict out of what's going on. Knowing those 4 groups also helps you to know then what you do with those people and what role you take as the leader. The first thing you have to think about those that are involved is do you trust them or not? If you trust them, if you trust the band director and the music director and the people with the expertise and the caring to make that decision, you could pretty well hand that decision off to them and you stay informed and with it. You don't abdicate your role, but you can let them take the lead with them because you trust them. Your experts you bring in to help inform. Your stakeholders, what you want to do, remember those people are like the parents or the kids. You need them to be wise in what's going on so they just don't pick something that they quote like. They pick something that is useful to the group for the long haul. So they need information. In that case, you need to be the one that provides the experts, the materials, the background, the decision-making process for those people. And then, of course, the non-collaborative are those that you inform. Now, remember that trust is basic to this, because if you do not trust that they're going to make an unbiased decision, you're setting yourself up for conflict, putting people that you don't trust into this. And so you limit their, in a group that you don't trust, the group, that you're afraid that biases and so forth are going to play into what's going on. Doesn't mean that you don't trust them personally. It may be just that you don't trust them in the decision. Then you're going to go back to some of those other ruminants where they're going to advise you and you make the decision. So, Democratic, they have a lot of involvement, but not too much. You don't abdicate. If you're afraid that you don't trust them, that there's going to be conflict, you limit their involvement. You do something like where you call them each in one by one and talk to them and make your decision. When you're working with a group of stakeholders, you're going to educate them, but you aren't going to pretend that they're making the decision if they really aren't making the decision. Your experts also, you limit how much they are involved because they don't have a stake in this, and you want them to help you make a better decision but not make a decision. And with your no involvement people, remember that means that it doesn't mean that they are ignored. So, again, in this model, you have to go back and decide, are you going to go with consensus, where you're going to keep voting until everybody agrees, majority, you just vote until you get the most votes? When you have that, it's not as successful because there's going to be some people that voted the opposite way and they're going to go away unhappy and talking against whatever the decision was. Advisory means that they're going to give you advice, but again, you can take or not take it. Individual, that they come in one at a time. Unilateral, you make the decision. The bar is larger at the left and invisible at the right because that's how much time is involved in making a decision in that model. But there are other factors, sometimes than time, that you need to take into consideration on how you're going to make the decision. And here they are. And I know you can't read it in the space that I have here, but you have some of that in your handout as well. So, the Hoyt-Harter model gives the leader some roles as well, depending upon what it is you want them to do. You can be the person that opens, leads the discussion. You can be the person that explains the issue and actually sells what's going on. You can be the person that just brings in other experts, or you can be the one that actually makes the decision. Those roles depend upon this model. Now you see that 4 boxes at the top. That's the same as the 4 boxes we had before. And if you follow down the pathway, just like a flow chart, you can see that if you are looking at, for example, those that are in that 3 column, type 3 up there, marginal with expertise, then the situation is they're an expert, their involvement is occasional, the decision making is that they advise. They just are going to advise what's going on. And the role of you as the leader is to solicit them, go out and ask them for that advice. I think this is a little complex at the top, but when you stop to think about it, when you're looking at a decision, and so that's one of the choices you have with activities now, is to think about who's in, who's out, why are they in, why are they out, and what's your role based on that. You keep yourself from making a lot of missteps along the way. So the questions you ask, should I involve others in making the decision or should I just make it myself? Well, it depends. Depends on the situation.